Good morning, guys. Eugene here from Gina's Trader. Thank you so much for joining me for yet another weekly Forex forecast. You know, last week it really tested our, patience. We had to wait and wait and wait for setups for our pivot points, but we only got one, which was USDCAD, and also it played tricks on us. The market makers played tricks on us. But at the end of the day, we always come out on top, even though we tried, a few times, to get it. But anyway, let's get into this week's one, into the next week's Forex forecast. Next week, I'll be focusing on a few pairs, unlike any other week. So it's going to be just, Euro USD, Pound USD, USD Swiss franc, USD JPY, CAD JPY, USD CAD, and gold. So I'm gonna be showing you next week's pivot points. I did say that if you don't get pivot points, just don't trade. Just wait and wait until you get at least a pivot point. Then when you trade in the pivot point, you know what you're doing, right? Even if even if it loses, you don't lose a lot. Pivot points, that's why I love them, because when you lose, you lose about 10 pips, per position. You lose 15, 20 pips, not even, more than 50 pips on each, position. But when you make profits, you can start at 100 pips, 200 pips and more. So even when you lose, you know that, okay, I lost, but I can always recover, But if you enter the market in the middle, then you wait for that pivot point and it gets to the pivot point and breaks it, then you lose even more. So it's always better to wait and be patient. Like I said during the week, that rushing to get into the market is like rushing to lose your investment. So always be patient, wait. Even though you get that setup and you lose, just wait, just be patient and see what happens next. So I'm gonna be sharing with you the next week's pivot points. Next week should be better. The previous weeks we always got our pivot points. We never lost since we started this YouTube channel, and this week was the first time I actually lost on the pivot points ever since we started the YouTube channel. Market makers were showing us who's boss, obviously, but that's fine. We will always come out on top. Losing is inevitable. Like we're gonna lose, sometimes, but as long as we're not losing a lot. So the first one will be your Euro US dollar. The first pivot point for the next week is the same as this week because we didn't get it. The market was just ranging, so it's gonna be here at 19200. And we're gonna be selling all the way down to 117 and 116 zone. So those are gonna be your two zones. And if we get a break, which I highly doubt at the moment, then we'll be going all the way to 122 zone. But for now, let's focus on 119 and see what happens there. The pound, US dollar, we got we got in yesterday. I did mention the next week's pivot point in the premium channel before we closed the day, which was at 290. And right now we are in a bit of we are in a bit of profit, about 48 pips in profit, because we got in around the zone yesterday. So this comes to show that this shows that next week will be better, because already we closed the week on a high, trying to regain all that was lost and even make more. So from here, we're looking into selling all the way to 128,800 zone. The first support zone will come in at 129,500, which is, which is here, 129,500, which is here. So it's gonna have to, look what's gonna happen when the pair gets here, and obviously we'll be getting out of all positions at 128,800 zone. But also this is a channel, so if we get a break here, then we'll be going to the bottom of this channel. But you know, for now, I don't think, you know, there's bearish drivers that might, you know, break this zone here. So we'll just, you know, sell all the way to here and take our profits. The USD Swiss franc, we still have the same pivot point as this week's one, 94.40 zone. We're gonna be looking into buying here all the way to 0.92 and 0.93 500. So yes, these zones here are gonna be our buy zone, you know, buy zone and take profit and another take profit, you know. And then from here, maybe the market will start, you know, going down. But obviously we just look focusing on buying. We're not focusing on buying here and selling there, you know, unless if we get another pivot point, you know, if I send you another pivot point for the same, you know, pair, then you can look into selling when it gets to that zone. The the USDJPY, our pivot point for next week is 105.200. If you get a break here, you know, 104 will be our pivot point for buying. But for next week, 105.200, this is the only zone I'll be focusing on. If it does not happen, we let it go. If it happens, then our first take profit 108, next one 1099. But we'll see how that goes, you know, because this pair has its own rules, you know. It just does whatever it wants to. It's, you know, it's not even correlated to, you know, inversely correlated to gold anymore. You know, they over 80% correlated as much as I know. It's been a while. It's been a while since I checked exactly. You know, it's been some years now since I checked, but um, you know, in the olden days would be trading, buying gold and selling USDJPY, buying USDJPY, selling gold. But right now, you know, all these pairs are just making their own rules, you know, because of, you know, different situations, you know, different economy situation in different countries. So right now, pivot points, you know, is the way, you know, to know which one to buy, which one to sell. So I'll be looking at buying at 105.200, you know, all the way up there. But if we get a break here, then I'll be just letting it go and focusing on other pivot points. And CAD JPY here, we don't have a pivot point, but an area of interest at 80. You know, we got a breakout and a retest, and it was a nice buy setup. We actually missed it, and I shouldn't have missed this one. I was just too focused on waiting for pivot points on the USD-CAD. It was, you know, it was just getting closer and closer that I actually missed this one. But the JPY, the GBP JPY did the same thing, and that's fine because we didn't even get, you know, a proper move all the way to the upside. Already we're getting a retracement down. And we'll see if the 80 zone, excuse me, and we'll see if the 80 zone will hold, which I'm not even convinced that it will, but we'll see what happens here. And if we get a break below and a retest, then you can look into, you know, selling. But yeah, just make sure that you check that area of interest, what happens there. The USD CAD, it was a nightmare because, you know, it got here to our pivot point, it held, got us into profit, retested again, got us into profit, retested again, got us into profit. Then all of a sudden it just broke that level and it closed the day below our, you know, what you call as our pivot point, and it retested it. You know, according to our strategy, if this happens, if we get a break and we retest, this means that it's a sell. And yes, we got, you know, moves down, moves down, moves down, but eventually, you know, on Friday we just got a break higher and a retest, and we bought here, you know, and it started also trying to not respect this, you know, area. Then we got out at entry, but you know, I left one of my account. I just left this trade, and right now it's in profit, and I'm just gonna let it go all the way to 133.500, which is next week's pivot point for selling, because I believe that this pair will likely, you know, continue down from this zone, because this is proper zone, you know, like proper resistance. If you check here on previous, you know, price action, here it held as a support, and we even got a gap here, and you know, Also here it held as a resistance. So from here, if we get a retest here, then we'll be looking into buying all the way to 131 zone and even 130 zone. You know, gold gold is also doing its thing. You know, it's very, very bullish, and our next week's pivot point is 1863. We're going to be buying all the way to 2129 and 2200 zone. So if we get a retest here, then we're going to be looking into buying all the way to the upside. You know, we might get you know, to see gold eventually going all the way to 2600, you know, sooner rather than later. But for now, we're focusing on next week's pivot point, 1863. And yeah, I'll be holding all the way to 200 zone. So yeah, guys, remember to always be patient, wait for your pivot point. Make sure that, because like, you know, patience pays off all the time. You know, even though USD CAD tricked us this week, you know, this is, you know, market makers, but you can just see that we didn't lose much, because every time it would trick us, you know, would get out, you know, with like, you know, minus 10 pips, minus 15 pips, and so on. And right now, you know, it's in profit, and, you know, it's over, you know, almost 30 pips profit. And, you know, when it gets to, you know, 133,500, and this is where I'll be getting out. You know, I'll be up by about 130 pips. So, you know, it always pays up. It always pays up to wait and make sure that you wait for the pivot point, uh, rather than just entering the market in the middle and, you know, taking bigger losses. Because, you know, even though I give you pivot points, it does not mean that one or two of them won't lose. You know, it will lose. But if you waited for a pivot point, then you lose less money, unlike not waiting at all and losing, you know, a lot of money when the pivot point does not hold. So patience, 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 guys. And obviously in the premium channel, I'll be sharing, you know, exclusive content. I'll be sharing, exclusive signals, pivot points as well. You might miss some of them because you think like I put everything in the weekly, you know, Forex focus. So yeah, so we do take some trades, especially trades like the CAD JPY, which is, you know, trades that are, you know, getting interesting at the moment. We wait for area of interest and see how the price reacts, and we take them according to that. So it does not mean that if I'm giving you pivot point, it means that this is all we trade in the premium channel. No, it's not. We trade more. That's why we make more profits all the time. And obviously, our slogan is trade to withdraw. So we want to make those withdrawals at all costs. So thank you so much, guys, for joining me yet again this week. And I hope that you kill the market. I hope this pivot points helped you. So yeah, thank you so much, guys. Join me again next week. Bye bye.